Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back in Era Islamic Abrahamic Wisdom. History often praises states for how they reward strength, but true justice is revealed in how a state treats people after their strength is gone. Soldiers grow old, bodies are injured, fathers fall in battle. And here, a timeless constitutional question emerges. Does the responsibility of the state end when service ends? In the era of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Hazrat Umar ibn al-Khattab, radiyallahu anhu, this question was not ignored. It was answered with law, record, and dignity. Umar, radiyallahu anhu, declared something revolutionary for human governance. A pension is not charity, it is a right earned by service. In today's episode, based on the research and writings of Mr. Zahir Ahmad Mir, we explore how the Islamic State established the world's first systematic pension and social security framework, ensuring dignity after service, injury, and old age. This is episode 28. This is justice that does not retire.
Very core of any society, whether it's ancient or the one we live in today. And that is, what is the fundamental duty a state actually has to its people?
Think about it. What happens when someone can no longer contribute in the way they used to? For most of human history, the answer was, well, it was pretty brutal and simple. Nothing. Your value was tied to your strength. And when that was gone, you were basically forgotten. But this is where Hazrat Umar's leadership was so different. He saw this not as a matter of pity or charity, but as a fundamental question of justice, a core constitutional duty of the state.
He had this profound understanding that just abandoning people after they've served the state, it wasn't just a cruel thing to do, it was a ticking time bomb. It was a systemic crisis just waiting to explode. He knew that without a formal, reliable system in place, you'd get all these little injustices that would eventually eat away at the trust and the moral authority of the state itself. And just look at what happens when that trust breaks down. These consequences you see here, they aren't just a bunch of sad, isolated stories. No, they're symptoms of a much deeper systemic failure. You have veterans who risked everything for the state, now living in poverty. You have injured soldiers forced to beg on the streets. And when people see that, what do you think happens? That loyalty, that patriotism, it curdles into resentment. And that last point is the killer. The state loses its moral authority. It loses the very soul of the community.
So with a crisis that deep, how on earth do you solve it? Well, the solution wasn't what you might expect. It wasn't about occasional charity drives or random handouts from the wealthy. The solution was a revolutionary, foundational shift in thinking about what a state's responsibility truly is. This right here, this single idea changed absolutely everything. Let that sink in. A pension is not charity, it is a right. This reframed the entire conversation. Support from the state was no longer some gift that a ruler could give or take away whenever they felt like it. No, it became a constitutional obligation. It became a right that the state was legally and morally bound to fulfill for its citizens. It was a total game changer.
And this comparison just lays it out so clearly. On one side, you've got charity. It's totally discretionary, right? It depends on someone's mood, it's unpredictable, and let's be honest, it's often based on pity. But then you look at the other side, a constitutional right. That's obligatory. The state has to do it. It's systematic, meaning there's a process. And most importantly, it's based on dignity. This is the massive difference between just hoping for some help and being guaranteed support because you've earned it.
Okay, so having a great principle is one thing, but a principle is only as good as the system that actually enforces it, right? A right is pretty meaningless if you can't actually claim it. So the big question is, how did they take this incredible, visionary idea and actually put it into practice on the ground?
Well, the framework they built was just incredibly comprehensive. I mean, look at this. It wasn't just about the soldiers themselves, which would have been. It made sure that the families left behind, the widows and orphans of fallen soldiers, were fully protected and maintained by the state. The whole family unit was cared for.
And the process itself was so methodical, so built on accountability. It all started with meticulous record-keeping. Every person's service was logged in a central register called the Diwan al-Jund. Now this was the key, because it took favoritism and fraud right out of the equation. Your right to a pension wasn't based on who you knew. It was based on your recorded, verified service. Once your claim was cross-referenced, the payments were issued directly from a dedicated central treasury. Simple, fair, and effective.
And that central treasury, the Beit al-Mal, was the financial engine that made this whole system work. You have to think of it not just as some vault full of gold, but as a dynamic, almost modern treasury. It actively managed the state's money to make absolutely sure that the funds for these pensions were always there, ready to be paid. Basically, compassion was officially budgeted for. It was a line item, not an afterthought.
And here's a part that's truly remarkable. This principle of justice wasn't just for one group of people. The system was designed from the ground up to be inclusive. And over time, it was even expanded to provide for non-Muslim citizens living under the state's protection. This just reinforces that core idea. This was about the state's fundamental responsibility to all its people, not about giving favors based on tribe or religion.
So, let's bring it all into the present. What can this 1400-year-old model of governments really teach us today? You might think, that was then, this is now. But as it turns out, there's a surprising amount we can learn. If you take away just one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. Social Security is not some 20th century political invention. This history shows us, clear as day, that a comprehensive, rights-based system existed centuries and centuries before. And it was born not out of modern politics, but out of a timeless, powerful moral vision for a just society.
And just look at these principles. They are the absolute bedrock of any successful, fair system today. Treating pensions as an earned right, not some political handout. Using verified records to ensure fairness for everyone. Protecting the whole family, not just the individual worker. And this is a big one, making sure these promises are backed up by sustainable budgets and real accountability. I mean, these are the exact same challenges that governments all over the world are grappling with right now.
Ultimately, this history is about a state that refused to throw its people away. It leaves us with this powerful, timeless way to measure any society. Its true greatness, its real justice, isn't found in how it rewards the powerful and the strong. It's found in how it protects everyone, especially the vulnerable, once their work is done. That is a standard that's absolutely worth considering, even 14 centuries later. If you found this perspective valuable, please subscribe to our channel, like this explainer, and share it with your friends. Thank you so much for watching.